If you've been thinking about getting serious with your money, like actually serious, now's the time. The Motley Fool is offering new members 50% off their iconic stock recommendation service, Stock Advisor. This is the same service that's crushed the market with recommendations that have returned 1,057% since inception, compared to the S&P 500's 180% over that same period. This isn't guesswork. The Motley Fool has a track record of finding companies before they become household names. So if you want to invest smarter and you like saving money while doing it, go to fool.com/listen to claim your 50% off discount off a 1-year term of Stock Advisor. Again, that's fool.com/listen. Returns of 1,057% are from the Motley Fool's product Stock Advisor and measured against S&P 500 returns of 180% as of July 10th, 2025. Past performance is not an indicator of future results. All investing involves a risk of loss. Individual investment results may vary.
Hey, this is Jason Kleberg from the Force 5 podcast, a show that forces a guest to come up with a movie-themed top 5 list topic, and then we reveal our picks on air. Top 5 heist films, top 5 tearjerkers, top 5 movie dogs. Every show you'll be asking yourself, what would be on my list? Guests include directors, screenwriters, actors, podcasters, musicians, authors, and even a professional wrestler. Subscribe to the Force 5 podcast, and you won't just be a listener, you'll be a list nerd. The Force 5 podcast, available wherever you're listening now.
We're in Way Media. Welcome back, Midnight viewers, to part 2 of our look at the late, great Jeannot Szwarc.
In a $12.50 pine box reposes the body of a frontier Frankie, armed but disarming. A victim of an Old West philosophy that any man with a good eye, a limber finger, and a well-honed trigger skirts the pastures of immortality. But this chap found out the hard way that immortality is a wish, a word, but infrequently a reality. He awaits your pleasure in a painting we call The Waiting Room.
The Waiting Room was written by Rod Serling, directed by Jeannot Szwarc, and stars Steve Forrest, Albert Salmi, Jim Davis, Buddy Ebsen, and Gilbert Rowland. They're throwing out some blank as blank credits all of a sudden in the opening credits, which I don't understand. This is the story of a gunslinger named Dictor who stops into a saloon and encounters a literal murderer's row of fellow outlaws. The problem is they're all dead. They are. Not Dictor. Oh no, anyone but Dictor. It would be hard to figure that thing out, wouldn't it? What'd you think of this one? Chris, you take us back to that wholly original episode of Tales from the Crypt.
So what was funny is season 4, episode 8 of Tales from the Crypt, Showdown, aired in 1992. That was not even an episode of Tales from the Crypt. Father Malone, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was actually a Two-Fisted Tales segment that had been repurposed into a Tales from the Crypt episode, which would explain why the theme almost doesn't match that show and almost more matches this show, in as much as this show's theme is whatever the hell it wants to be. Yeah, that segment is about a gunslinger who wanders into a town where he's, wait, I remember you. You were Dusty Bill. You were dead I saw you get gunned down. And I swear to God, Buddy Ebsen's doing the exact same. This whole thing is just that. I remember. Where am I in hell? Yes, you are in hell. And so am I for having to watch this segment, because it was like I was having a flashback to like Nom, where I was like, oh, I've seen this before, and it was just as bad last time.
Wow, Tales from the Crypt is the equivalent of the Southeastern Asian conflict of the late 1960s. Okay, Mike, what do you think of this one?
I don't know if it's as bad as Nam, but it definitely felt like it went on as long as the Korean War did in MASH. It was a very long segment. I looked down at one point, I looked back up and I said, this is still going on. What's going on? How can this be happening?
You were Dictor all of a sudden.
Yes.
28 minutes.
28 friggin' minutes, and you feel every single one of them.
But you know what? Rod no longer had control at this point, and they were doctoring his scripts when he wasn't looking.
Oh,
right.
Sure.
It's too bad that they took 7 additional minutes of them reminiscing out, because boy, I really missed that.
Oh boy.
Good Lord. It's you know what it is? It's almost a Blackout sketch. Again. And even the Tales from the Crypt episode is the same way. If an old Western guy wanders into town and the town looks deserted and there's a bunch of guys around a table, I think everybody and their mother who has at least a inkling of an idea of the tropes here would understand what's going on here.
Yeah, like most of Serling's loop episodes, which we got a lot back in the Twilight Zone, but we certainly have had some here as well. Just recently, what is that clacking sound in the heavens? To be honest with you, the first 20 minutes or so of this segment, not 20, but like 10, I was actually totally intrigued. I'm a sucker for the supernatural. I'm a sucker for the Old West. Put them together. I'm on board. And the performances are solid uniformly.
Yeah, Buddy Ebsen's fucking great. He's awesome. He's so good, he can't even salvage how bad this segment is.
And it's shot beautifully. The problem is, as soon as the first gunfighter steps outside, all lingering doubt of what's going on here dissipates. And that's within 7 or so minutes of the episode beginning. And now we've got 21 to go. It should have remained as oblique as possible, because when it was oblique, when it was unclear what was happening, I was really into it. I was intrigued. I wanted it to be really mysterious and not, oh my God, they're not just going to go to the most obvious place possible. At the same time, if I had the unfortunate luck of living in pioneer times in the Old West, I hope that I would at least have Steve Forrest's sense of style, that fucking pinstripe suit, and that really tasteful kerchief. Just red, just around the throat, and a wide brim chapeau, but not too overstated. I liked it. There is a recent movie, the Coen Brothers Ballad of Buster Scruggs. They have the final segment in that called The Mortal Remains. And
oh, yes. First time?
Yeah, that's what this should have been and could have been. Unfortunately, all we're saddled with is a moron of a lead character who everyone keeps telling him their story. This is how I died. He already knows. He mentions it himself. Like, oh, I heard you got gunned down by so-and-so and such and such. Yes, that did happen. I'm that guy. And here you are.
I don't understand, though. How did it happen? I don't get it. How are you here now? It's like, dude, put one and 2 are next to each other. There is nothing else in between it. It's you're dead. You're dead. You're dead.
Tell me, what has happened?
How did I?
Please.
And I love that it even does the thing where it's like, well, do you remember how you got here? I don't even remember how I got here. Did we never leave? We never left. We're still there. It's like that. It's so, again, this is 72, so we're not, it was used then, but it's overused now. Maybe it's our 2023 sensibilities peeking through, but it doesn't even feel, it feels so rote. The roteness of it gets in the way of it even attempting to be entertaining. And then you saddle that with it being 4 times as long as it needs to be.
Oh, just that they kept doing it over. And I love a good Groundhog Day type story. A time loop story is great, but not this way. Not that we get to hear every single person every time, just over and over. Like, please just figure it out.
Other thing I liked quite a bit, it was the second gunfighter, the gunfighter who's sitting closest to Buddy Ebsen. He's the second one to get up and go. That guy's performance was fantastic. That's Albert Salmi. I knew him from somewhere. He's Noonan's dad in Caddyshack. Whose child is this? What? How many Cokes did you have? That guy was that fucking fantastic Western character here in the waiting room.
He really sticks it to Steve Forrest, too. He's like, I don't want to be your brother, and I would never be related to some vulture like you. It's like, Jesus Christ. him and Buddy Ebsen are turning in real, like, blistering performances in this. I appreciate that they showed up and they were like, we know what you're asking us to do. Lean into this really hard. And they do. Like, I appreciate the commitment to what you're needed. It's just like, you don't need it this much.
Yeah, because the tone demands the performances those guys are giving. That first opening sequence when we're unsure as to what's happening here, it needs a level of seriousness to bolster everything else. And that's what's good about the episode. Can I just ask you guys, because I was unclear on this, the opening and closing shot of him riding up to the hanged man, which turns out to be him, was that day for night, or was that night and they just had a really hard light on the hanging man and Steve Forrest, or his stunt double?
It looked like a hard light to me anyway.
Yeah.
In the opening, the first time I saw it, I went, that's got to be day for night. And then at the end, I was like, no, it really looks like a light. So I don't know.
And I'm with you, by the way, when it comes to horror mixed with Westerns. I'm a sucker for Bret Hart. And yeah, this had so much promise of, oh, cool, an Old West segment. We haven't had one of those before. I mean, even what was it? What was the Star Trek episode, like Day of the Gun or whatever that show was shot? So yeah, just the amazing, like, big red backgrounds and just that kind of like symbolism rather than sets type of thing.
Minimalist set fronts that look like Blazing Saddles set fronts.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, they didn't have that much money or anything, but it worked out really well. So, and this one, like you guys said, shot very well, looks really good, but just the storytelling.
Yeah, and I've said this before, like the ham bone purple prose that I usually accuse Serling of, if you put it into a period piece, that it alleviates a whole lot. Suddenly, it sounds like sparkling dialogue, and I have very little to complain about. The problem is, it just never ends, and it goes nowhere, and we're all in on it like the guys who are sitting in the fucking saloon from the scene one, and we're just waiting for the dummy to wake up. You for 28 minutes for that.
And I guess the other thing that I wonder is, obviously you have the story of a guy who's died, and then is this the first time he's gone through this? Are they like at the like the way that they're acting? It's like this motherfucker is not remembering time to time. So is this like 10 loops into this? That would have been a more interesting conversation to go towards, as what does it mean to be here? Is there any way to leave, or are we doomed forever by our bad choices? No, it's instead, it's like, this guy's dumb and doesn't know that he's dead. Duh. Like, but the audience picked up on it immediately. I don't see any way you as an audience member couldn't pick up on it in this episode. The show has done good twists in the past. I'm sure it will do good twists in the future that are not telegraphed, but this is telegraphed from shot one. We can't be smarter than the character on screen, because then we're just like, this guy's just an idiot.
I do think that this is this character's first time, because he rides up and he looks at the hanged man and doesn't bother to figure out who he is. And then the next time he comes, he changes that. So I think this was his first time at the Afterlife Rodeo.
Maybe, but Steve Forrest seems pretty dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. I would think at least the Buddy Ebsen character would be like, this guy again.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why they're so frustrated with him. It's like, this guy just keeps coming back, asking the same stupid goddamn questions, and we keep telling him the same shit over and over again, and he's just not listening. Fuck this guy.
The Albert Salmi character 100% would have said, how many times do we have to tell you this, you idiot?
That would have been what I would have written, because it would have been more interesting, as opposed to just, okay, like, he's here for the first time, but he doesn't realize it. Maybe I understand why you don't realize it then.
No, and it would let the character off the hook, maybe. Like, we know he's an idiot from the opening. We would then view the scenario through the ghosts who are already participating's eyes, and it's kind of a tragedy. That could have worked.
They're much more interesting.
To those amongst you with a predilection toward antique collection, or the occasional bargain hunting that takes place in out-of-the-way nooks and stalls, this painting suggests a certain required wariness when it comes to your shopping. Because there are moments when behind some dusty book or in a cobwebbed corner of an ancient vestibule, you'll uncover a little object d'art which can horrify the heck out of you. Such being the case in this painting, when a lady goes junking about and uncovers a mythological statue that has lived past its time and intrudes on hers. We call the painting The Last Rites for a Dead Druid.
All right, Last Rites of a Dead Druid, written by Alvin T. Sappinsley, directed by Jeannot Szwarc, or should I say Jeannot Zoom. The segment is a Zoom fest. More on that in a minute. And also, you didn't see it at home, but Rod's introduction was very atmospheric. There was a lot of camera moves this episode. There's a lot of zooming in and out for bumpers. I dig where it's going. Anyway, Druid stars Bill Bixby. This is his first of 2 appearances on Night Gallery. Carol Lindley, the Night Stalker's own. And man, she's adorable. Is that reductive?
God, yes.
I don't care. And Donna Douglas as Mildred McVeigh. She gets the "and as" credit. That trend has continued into the next segment. It also stars Ned Glass. He's in 2 Kolchak episodes, Spanish Moss Murders and Horror in the Heights, which I did with you guys on the Kolchak tapes over there. Yeah?
Nice.
Almost a decade ago now.
The first time I met you, Mr. Michael. But the unseen performer in this segment is Gerald Perry Finnerman. He was the cinematographer. I mentioned the zooms and the focus pulling here. He's doing muscular work, and it's delicate and elegant. The focus pulling, like I said, is out of hand. He was a lifelong TV camera guy with occasional forays into features, but there were some interesting TV shows he worked on, like Quark, the Richard Benjamin sci-fi comedy,
nice.
written by Buck Henry. He did that entire series. He did the Planet of the Apes entire TV series. He did one of my favorite TV movies, Devil Dog Hound of Hell. And 60 episodes of Star Trek. Speaking of Star Trek. But anyway, hey guys, do you remember when Stephen Moffat created the Weeping Angels on Doctor Who?
Thank you.
Those statues that move when you're not looking.
Yeah.
What a terrifying and wholly original creation. Anyway, this is the story.
And they all look like Bill Bixby.
Yeah. A young lawyer whose wife gives him an ancient statue that may not have started out as stone. Chris, what'd you think of this one?
Similarly to the last segment, it was a tad long, but it was goofy. If that was what they were going for, I had a chortle or 2 throughout. And I'll tell you why. Because that statue doesn't look like Bill Bixby at all. No matter how hard they try to convince you, they could have had him rip his own face off and put it on there, and then I would have been like, yes, now it looks like Bill Bixby, only because Bill Bixby's actual face is on it. It doesn't look like him, so it makes every time they show its face really funny because it looks funny. And then the premise is, I was going to say The Omen, kind of. I don't know, it's like there's all these like weird like premonition things of you were going to do this and you're being possessed by this, and it's goofy, and for that I can appreciate it. It didn't need to be 30 minutes, but again, I feel like maybe that's like we should stop saying that at this point because holy shit, we've said it a lot, and this episode obviously is a candidate for that because there's only 2 segments, so I think it was fun and goofy, but if they were trying to be serious, they failed real hard.
I thought this was a lot of fun. I had a great time. First off, I think that the Night Gallery should expand just from paintings into statuary as well. I think that they really need to expand their business, and having this in the gallery, I think, would be a great conversation piece, and it could be sold fairly easily. I'm not sure who's in the market for life-size statues of people screaming with crowbars in their hands.
An ancient crowbar, by the way.
Ancient crowbar, yes.
And to your point, Mike, I thought that they were going to do something with a statue because Rod is standing in front of a weird dragon statue at the beginning of this episode. And I was like, oh, hold on. Are we like, there are things in the background in the Night Gallery that aren't paintings. They just never go up to them. And it's like,
Right.
Why wasn't this that time? Of all times, you could have your Bill Bixby statue just standing there.
I actually have an answer for that, which is the sculptures were all purchased all at once. Make us weird objects to pepper the background. And Tom Wright did all of the individual paintings for the episodes because even if they're going to have statues show up, it's still a painting gallery. I agree wholeheartly with you. They should have just had the goddamn statue sitting in the Night Gallery, and he goes, this thing.
Isn't it weird looking? Won't you like to know what the story behind this is? Yes, we would, Rod. Like,
Well,
but I
don't
get
worry.
yeah, but again, like I get why they had to stick with the consistency of the paintings. The paintings ultimately are more successful, but then you could have made it feel more tailored to each story, like, you know, a specific item, like, look at this item here.
It's a rather narrow view of what a gallery can hold, even when they're displaying what a gallery can hold right all around him.
I really was hoping that the statue would change as it was going through. I did like that this episode has what the last episode didn't, or segment, I should say, which is actually things happening and changing. So it's not just the same thing over and over again. I was afraid the first time the statue showed up in his bedroom that it would only terrorize him at night and that it would just keep doing the whole creep up thing. But I was really happy to see the way it progresses and the way that Bill Bixby is changing, and especially when he tries to sacrifice the cat was just so funny. I gotta say, Donna Douglas, this is a competition between who is the more attractive blonde. These ladies are both just incredible.
It's really a fist fight. Yes, I totally agree. Because here's the wife, who is 1000% adorable, Carol Lindley. And then here's the temptress. It's like, what could they possibly... Oh, her. Oh, yeah. Okay, I got it. I get it. Yeah.
And I honestly, it took me a minute to realize that was Donna Douglas. And she even had the Southern accent. So I'm like, why did I not just immediately think Ellie Mae when I saw her? And I guess it might have been the outfits or something. But man, oh man, she was a knockout.
2 Beverly Hillbillies alumni in this episode. Buddy Ebsen too, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And Buddy wasn't looking too bad either.
No, yeah. She's great. She's great. I don't know if the segment needed another, like, her character, like, she's not in cahoots with the sorcerer. She's just tempting him, so it feels like these things are happening at the same time. I wish they had maybe given us a little bit more of a through line as to maybe she has some sort of ulterior motive, because again, that we've seen that before in this show as well, where they're like, oh, she just seems to be into Bill Bixby, which, you know what, with those turtlenecks and stuff, like, I get it.
God, yes,
he's a good looking guy, but that statue with that facial hair, on the other hand, he's looking like a real dork.
We've got a triangle here, and it's a pretty good one. But to your point, Chris, what we needed is more of Mildred's character to get her point of view from what was going on here. Having said that, this is one of my favorites from this season. And I had a blast watching this one. I thought Szwarc's direction is on point. I thought the story was good. Even if I knew where it was going, nobody could have predicted that moment, Mike, where Eddie's father holds a cat over a barbecue with the full intention of frying it alive. And I fully believed he was going to do it.
Just the maid that comes up. I'm just putting in my notice.
The poor maid that's just like aghast. She's have to leave now. This man's trying to cook his cat.
That was so good. And just the ADR of all the cat sound effects. Poor cat's just like, what are you doing? And then the sound effects.
As a callback to an earlier Night Gallery episode, Bill Bixby struck me this time round as a perfect analog of Roddy McDowall. Because when he's endearing, he's very endearing. And when he's smarmy, I just want to drown him. And he gets both here. And now, added layer here, the sort of fierce character, the fierce Bill Bixby we get here as the sorcerer was actually pretty great too. I mentioned all the zooms going on here. When Bill Bixby lays out the statue's origins, this is before he starts to get possessed. It starts on a close-up of the statue, which turns out to be a photograph, which tilts up to Carol Lindley, which turns out she's in a mirror. It then zooms back to include the entire room. It's slick and economical coverage. Jeannot Szwarc, ladies and gentlemen. I can't. Anyway, also during that scene, Bill Bixby's laying out the history, as I said, and he's being very erudite at it. And then when he gets to the word raping, he says raping. There's no G at the end, like a good old raping.
He sure does. He says it twice, actually, which is in there.
It was raping. Just a little odd to hear it so casual, you know.
I also laughed like crazy when they said, the statue's eyes have changed, and then they cut to it, and it looks like a whole different head on the statue.
This
Those
orange.
red eyes, though. Those
Yes,
red eyes.
Orange head. I'm like, what did they do? Refurbish its head?
Yeah.
I actually love the shop owner who's just like, I've had this thing sitting around for years. Like,
He's
this is the
great.
freakiest fucking thing. I would get that thing out of my shop and take it away. You know, after a while, if it's sitting in your shop, he's like, I think it's time to just get rid of this nightmare of a piece of artwork because it looks like a human being stuck in concrete. Oh, wait. Oh, wait.
He's only getting rid of it to make room for a dinette. So otherwise, he wanted to have it around some more, I guess. He takes it back at the end. He doesn't get that one back, and he's very mad. He wants it back. So that was.
I could have had a set. Yeah.
So Bill Bixby murders his wife then at the end? Like after he turns, he just kills her and then is just becoming Anton LaVey of the 70s?
Gets the girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's down for it.
Yeah. I kind of like that.
Doesn't mind at all.
Hey. That's a fun bad ending. Like it's a bummer of an ending, right? I guess if you perceive the Bill Bixby character as the hero of the piece, he gets frozen. But, you know, the bad guy wins in the end. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Oh, speaking of zooms, that second scene, the scene where Mildred gets confronted by him, the she doesn't mind at all thing. Talk about first of all, there's subtle like hints with lighting, and then they got that circular fucking barbecue that explodes into flame.
Yes.
But the scene where, like I said, there is this very subtle lighting shift on Bill Bixby, and then he's possessed. So it's mostly Bill Bixby's performance that sells it. But that whole scene was fantastic. I'm just going to keep praising this segment.
I won't disagree with you.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly Szwarc, his work here, but the performances are just as on point, as is the script by Alvin Sapinsley, who is our only hope these days.
These are originals, too. These aren't based... I mean, that's the other thing. A lot of these are like, you go and look, and it's based on a short story by X, Y, and Z, and these last two segments have both been a Serling original and a Sapinsley original, and Serling is what he is, but this is way better.
Way better.
Yeah. Yeah. This one, I think if I had seen this when I was a kid, it would really stick with me. I could see, oh, don't you remember that episode with Bill Bixby where he turns into a statue? Because at the end, when he's going to beat it with his own crowbar, I thought that was very effective.
And remember, we had an episode with James Ferrantino earlier in this season. It's basically the same story as this one. So they can keep telling the same stories over and over again as long as they're eventually going to get it right, because they got it right here.
And this was better than that segment, too. That one that you're referencing. I feel
way better. That's what I'm saying. 1,000 times better. But it's the same idea. It's the same plot, effectively, but reworked and shot well and written well and performed well. And here we go.
And it was also smart to switch the main character as opposed to the secondary character. Because in that one, wasn't it his wife is the one that's swapping?
Right. And
this gives it like
has to prevent it.
Yeah, this gives it like a lot more stakes, and also like it just gives it a lot more weight that he's the one and he's doing it, but the story is being presented effectively by his point of view. It just gives it some more weight because I'm with that character the whole time. And that one, it was like, it's his wife and he has to prevent it. And again, we're in as invested as he is, but here it's okay. He's the one who's in trouble. And yeah, he swings at the statue and because he throws the same way, the exact same way. Isn't that convenient?
With his own crowbar.
It was fun. It was fun. And that's all it needed to be. And I'm with you, Mike. If I had seen this as a kid, I would be like, that's some freaky shit. Because the statue sticks with you. It is such a choice.
The last one does look like Bixby, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I love that when he becomes the monk, that he then gets like the little fake beard.
Oh, my God. It's so wonderful.
Yes.
Seeing Bixby, any attempt at sinister is welcome. Very welcome.
Oh, yeah. And when his eyes change, I'm just like, oh, don't make him angry.
Here we go. Yeah. Check the end credits. Is Lou Ferrigno in here?
Yeah.
Painting number 2 in the night gallery, addressing itself to the strains and stresses of the married, having to do with the fact that there is more than one way to kill a cat, and more than one way to dispose of a wife. Our painting is called Stop Killing Me.
Stop Killing Me was written by Jack Laird from a short story by Hal Dresner. Cool Hand Luke's Hal Dresner. Zorro the Gay Blades Hal Dresner. Kind of a slide whistle situation there. This one was also directed by Jeannot Szwarc, starring Geraldine Page, first of 3 appearances in The Night Gallery, and James Gregory only. This is about a wife enlisting the aid of a police officer because she believes her husband is slowly murdering her through worry. What'd you think of this one, Chris?
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. I mean, it does go on a little long too, but the length of this one is to sell the length is selling what they're going for. And like it works here. So she is so harried with him that he is just, fuck yeah, I see why this is the way that it is. Like that works here. And I enjoyed this episode, but I'm going to be biased because I love James Gregory. Now, again, when we started the Barney Miller show, not so much the case, but his characterization has grown over time and grown on me. But seeing him here is great. He's fun. She plays that character great. He plays that character great. And I love that they keep focusing on the photo of his wife on the fucking desk, because it is the funniest thing where he's like, yeah, you're right. I see. There's no one would ever think divorce. It's, oh my God, this guy is just so pent up and angry all day, huh? He's just been waiting for someone like her to walk through his door. And I love that kind of storytelling where it's like these two people were fated to be in this room together for 10 minutes, and it totally works.
I wish that Jeannot Szwarc does something interesting in this episode where Geraldine Page will basically imitate her husband and repeat the lines that he keeps saying to her. And when she does that, we get these interesting cuts to almost like from the side all of a sudden, and she will turn to the side and start doing her husband's voice, not like literally saying what he's saying, and then cut back and she'll move back. And they did that a few times, but then they just started doing it kind of willy-nilly as far as where she was going to turn, to the left, to the right, to the straight, to wherever. I wish she had been a little bit more consistent with that, because I thought it was a good device. The way it ended up overall, I still liked it, but I thought it could have been a little bit more powerful as far as that went. But I thought that was nice. And I also like that, to your point, Chris, we have to spend this time. We have to take this time to hear the basically psychological warfare that this guy has been waging on his wife, letting her know that she has very little time to live. And when the payoff happens, I complain a lot about, oh, we know where this is going to go. I was really looking forward to this going where it went to.
This one is the flip side, not of Satan, but of the late Mr. Peddington from 2 episodes ago. Except here, instead of a woman talking herself into murder, she convinces another of the ease of which he can dispatch his own spouse. Starts with a great B-roll of the New York City skyline, dingy, kind of 1970s look at the show, which I always love. I think Geraldine Page is so electric here. In that scene, those moments in particular, Mike, where she's pantomiming her husband and we keep cutting to this unknown point of view, it's ultimately the viewer's point of view, or her point of view, because it's the husband talking to her and being so rude. The cuts are so jarring, but she's so funny. This is a horrible situation. And the things that this husband is doing to her is really beyond the pale when you really think about it. And the way her performance, just, I don't know. I thought it was hilarious. If only he could stop with the killing me.
And I really thought I knew what way this episode was going to go with that title. I thought that she was going to come in and it was going to be a DOA situation. I want to report a murder. Who's mine? But then I actually thought that she was dead and was coming in when she said, my husband's killing me right now. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Like she's astral projecting or something. So I took this in a whole different way, but I ended up liking where it went, which was not supernatural whatsoever.
I thought that too. When she said that, because it was like, oh, like, because again, like that's what it seems like. There's some angle here, and it's just he's almost like Pusher from the X-Files, where it's like,
that's cerulean blue. Yeah,
yeah. It's this weird, like, just suggesting over and over again that it's putting her on edge constantly. I can't even imagine what that would be like, but good Lord.
I don't think we needed the sound effect of her getting run over in traffic. That wasn't necessary. Like the plan of it was obviously working. She left that police station feeling really no better than when she came in. There's certainly no less safe. So just having the police officer talking to his wife would have been sufficient. I do think we hold a little too long at the end. A little too long on the picture of his wife. A little like a minute feels like.
I was going to say, I mean, to your point with the sound effect, it almost seems like it was added after the fact. And I know it obviously was, but more like they didn't ask James Gregory to react to anything. Because I watched it a couple times and he doesn't react at all, but we hear it as the audience. It's like he would have heard it. He should have reacted. There should have been like a sly little smirk or a grin or something, and there's nothing. So it feels like they gilded the lily just a little. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's a pretty good segment. That is just too on the nose.
I think it's twice as long as it probably should have been, but I'm not in any way angry at it because I would watch Geraldine Page do just about anything. I think she's great here. Anything else about this one, though? I think it's just really solid. I'm glad we're getting them. Peaks and valleys with this show, gentlemen. Peaks and valleys. All right.
I like the idea that James Gregory is at one point, he's like, she asked him, is your wife still as beautiful as the day you married her? And he just like stares at that photo. Yes. Just a moment too long. No, you're right. Like, it's just, again, like James Gregory was the perfect person for this role.
You know what's funny?
Perfect.
While watching it, I was like, I know this guy from somewhere. He's so good. And I'm like, I'm going to look him up so we can discuss him on the show. And then I saw the credits of Barney Miller, and I went, I'm not going to. I just closed my notebook. Like these guys can supply all the information we need to know about James Gregory.
Oh yeah,
for the segment.
And he's playing a cop.
Yeah. This is almost a prequel, but I don't think Luger took this career path. Plus, I don't think he would be married, according to Chris's theory.
My theory.
Yeah.
Hashtag Luger big gay.
Well,
maybe after that's why he's got to kill the wife. He's to come out, you know?
Yeah.
Father Malone, just two highlights off of Mr. Gregory's career. One, the role that he played in Manchurian Candidate. He was the husband, what's her name? Angela Lansbury. Really good role.
So good in that.
Yes. And then the other one is General Ursus, I believe is his name, from
Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes, yes.
Yeah, that voice, man. It's so good. He's great in this. As a two-person segment, a bottle thing we got here for 14 straight minutes, these two could have taken another 14, honestly. If they could have had some machinations added to this, would have been perfectly satisfied.
Now this one here, unabashed and unashamed, I submit to you, is a dandy. It delves into an ancient funeral rite having to do with a personage called a sin eater. One who attends a wake and partakes of the funeral food, and in the process digests all the transgressions of the deceased, so that he departs the earth a much cleaner and sweeter little item, proving that we've become a bit more sophisticated in our tribal rites, but we are much the poorer for our 20th century chromium intellect. You might agree with me after you've seen Sins of the Fathers.
The Sins of the Father were written by Halstead Wells from a short story by Christiana Brand and directed by Jeannot Szwarc, or Jean Szwarc. He's Jean Szwarc now. It stars Geraldine Page, Richard Thomas, Michael Dunn Alexander. The Star Trek people will recognize him from Plato's Stepchildren. He was also in You're a Big Boy Now, the Coppola's first film, but I will always know him as Dr. Miguelito Loveless for so many seasons. He was James West's central antagonist on The Wild Wild West. Rounding out this massive cast are Alan Napier, Cyril De Levante, John Barclay, and Barbara fucking Steele. This tale, it tells one of my absolute favorite old world rituals. This is a Welsh tale. We had in our last episode, we had a Welsh tale. This one is also from Wales. And the myth is the Sin Eater, which we'll see it play out dramatically here. But the actual tradition was there would be an outcast in a village, and he would be given a feast every time somebody died, so that he would take on their sins of the deceased, and the deceased would go to heaven. And he'd be given the feast no matter how much food that village had. If there was a famine there, it didn't matter. Every morsel needed to go to the Sin Eater. He always was eating like royalty. The downside, of course, was he was going to burn in hell for eating all of those sins. Now, I heard about this tradition long before I saw this, and it's always fascinated me. And recently I was talking to a friend of mine named Jasmine, who is Welsh and lives in Wales. I asked her about this tradition, and she had no fucking idea what I was talking about. Anyway, this is the tale of a sin eater, or the son of a sin eater. Richard Thomas is prodded into a sin-eating con game where he's to spirit away all the food from the corpse and thus sidestep the whole damnation thing and feed his family. Which actually sounds like a pretty good idea, except it's a double cross. Chris, what'd you think of this one?
You forgot to mention the most important sin-eating piece of media, the 2003 classic, The Order, starring Heath Ledger as a sin eater investigating sin eating in the Vatican.
Wow.
Actually not bad. Not a bad movie. But I digress. I'm with you. I like the whole sin eating angle, which is why I mentioned The Order. If anyone else is interested in seeing something not this old world, like that's the thing I appreciate about this, is that it is an old world tale that feels proper, disgusting and grimy and weird. I think, again, I go back to the well of the things that I've said before, the well of brevity here. They just don't want to tell 3 stories anymore. They just want to tell 2. And I can see in these episode segments where they just needed to chill out and maybe take your story through 2 or 3 more passes, because there's just too much going on here again. And I don't think all the pieces that are moving around, the main moving pieces, needed to be there to get the main moving pieces story told in an interesting way.
How about you?
What about you, Mike?
I prefer the Sin Eater enemy of, I believe he was the enemy of both Ghost Rider and Spider-Man, but I mostly remember him from Spider-Man comics. So that was my familiarity with sin eating. I love Michael Dunn. He was great in this. Richard Thomas, wow, what a performance. Pretty screamy throughout this whole thing. I was so confused at parts because they were talking about eating the food out of the guy's chest, right? They said that like 2 or 3 times, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no food on the chest. It's just around. It's just a bunch of plates around. I didn't get that. Whatever.
Yeah, and even further, the way they kept saying it, I thought they had hollowed out his chest.
Right.
Put the food inside it. And then when it wasn't that, I thought if it's on his chest and he has to take it all off of it, that would be something. But you're right. It's just ringed around the body.
Very nice plates. I mean, the presentation could have been better. I don't know about the taste myself, but yeah, definitely the plating needed some work.
I tried to find out what else was filming on the Universal lot around this time, because in this episode and the previous episode as well, they're clearly using an amazing set. The old world set. That's an interior set, interior for exterior. It looks fantastic. It looks better here than it looked in the previous episode, where it was directed very clumsily. But Jeannot Szwarc makes this one look great. I love Barbara Steele. Always glad to see her. Wish she was in the episode more. Quite frankly, she's got like maybe 2 lines in the whole thing. The mom in it, Geraldine Page, this is her very recent return here. She was in a previous episode, Stop Killing Me, here on Night Gallery, and I thought she was really good here. Speaking to what you were saying, Mike, I can't tell if Richard Thomas is good or bad here. It's a thankless role, this like mewling, petulant child. So he's nailing that part of it. Is it good though? I don't know. Also, I don't need to see his saliva. Does anyone need to see Richard Thomas's saliva? That's
a lot of saliva, yeah.
The tongue just lolling around in that mouth. Ugh, God almighty.
It did portray hunger very, very well, but...
Oh, I believed he was hungry, but he made me completely disgusted.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that he needed to ride that horse all 12 miles and have poor little Michael Dunn, who looks like every step he takes hurts him. I mean, it was painful to watch Michael Dunn walk, because he's got the dwarf legs and it's just not very easy for him to do that. And I was like, no, let this guy ride on the horse with you. He doesn't need to walk 12 miles with you over hill and dale and through this mountainous, treacherous pass. Just give the guy a lift, man.
John Boy doesn't share no horse.
No, that's true.
That negotiation occurred when we were talking about her ailing husband. It made sense that he was probably going to be sprawled out on the horse. So I agree. I kept wondering why he wouldn't just reach down and go, come on, let's go. Just so he can get there quicker. Like, what? Slowly cantering beside this dwarf? Like, It's a bit cruel.
It is. It is. The makeup on both the corpses, oh, spoilers, looked pretty good. But yeah, I saw that twist coming a mile away. So I was just like, okay, yeah, why aren't you eating the food? Why are you saying I won't eat a morsel? Why are you saying that your son will eat all of this food? Because there's another sin eater, and now you have to eat the sins of the sin eater.
I like that twist, though, honestly.
It's a good twist, but it's
Who
just
eats the sins of the sin eater is a good question, right?
it was just a little telegraphed.
Yeah, but it posed an interesting solution to the sin-eating lifestyle. You just have to have a relative that'll eat yours, and then you got to keep that thing going, right?
And someday you'll have a son. I love when she says that.
Horrible, horrible. I did wonder a little bit, how long has he been living there with them, this Richard Thomas's character, and have no interest in the family business? Like, he doesn't know the words. He doesn't know anything about it. Like, how can you not? It's all they do. Should be the first thing they taught you was that prayer you're supposed to scream out when you're about to eat the sin.
You would think, right? You just pick it up.
Just by osmosis, right?
Right. Yeah, I agree with you that Geraldine Page was very fun in this. She, with that head thing around her head, I was just like, she looked very much like a tale from Canterbury Tales or something, like from the story, from the artwork, I should say. Yeah, I thought she gave a great performance as well. And I agree with you that I wish there had been a lot more Barbara Steele, because it was just like a tease at the beginning and the end.
Once again, the end with Geraldine Page, where she has effectively tricked her son into eternal damnation, all the while assuring him of all these different ways that she will prevent him from being damned. I just loved it. I thought it was so good that she did it to him.
And you know what? Yes, it is 29 minutes, but I think even if it went a little long, as weird as Richard Thomas's performance is, I think it's an interesting performance, even if it is just overdoing. He's overacting. I feel like he's
slavering.
Yeah, and a lot of just like big decisions. But I like it in this because it feels a little different than all these other episode segments we've seen in the old world, where there's not like one kind of big performance. He's just going for it, which I appreciate. It is a completely thankless role for someone having to just lick their tongue constantly for a half an hour.
And a thankless role for us having to watch it.
There are horror stories and horror stories, elements of terror that take myriad forms. But this item has a built-in terror which can refrigerate even the most dispassionate amongst us. It has to do with a little beastie known as an earwig. A small bug that crawls into the human ear. And while inside, it doesn't whisper sweet nothings. It performs quite another function. Offered to you now on Night Gallery. A brand new nightmare, which we call the Caterpillar.
The Caterpillar was written by Rod Serling from a short story called Boomerang by Oscar Cook, which is a better title. And it was directed by Jeannot Szwarc, who I think this might be his best direction of the entire series, maybe his career. This one stars Lawrence Harvey, Joanna Pettit. This is her third of 4 appearances on Night Gallery. Tom Helmore, John Williams. This is his second appearance. And Don Knight. He's a professional English scumbag. This guy was on every television show, including Banachek, including Columbo, in Swamp Thing, the traitorous prick, that Australian traitorous prick, that's him. But I mainly know him from abandoning 3 adorable children. And then, just when Bill Bixby and Susan Clark have them settled into a comfortable life, he thinks he can swoop in and rip them away for what, money? How dare you separate the Apple Dumpling Gang? Anyway, this is a tale of jealousy in Borneo and a most elaborate and simple plan with which to woo a prospective mate. Mike, what'd you think of this one?
Shouldn't it really be called the earwig? That was really bothering me. No.
Of all the problems in the episode, that's the dumbest one. Like, what? Boomerang is a perfect title for it. It means just as much as a caterpillar because neither feature in the episode at all.
Yeah, it would have been nice if something, but yeah, I must have either seen this or seen one of the countless adaptations of this story, or this feels like it's like a campfire tale, right? This whole thing of we took out the thing, but the thing laid babies. And I think I heard spider when I first heard the story. Okay, cool. But I thought it was well done. I really like Lawrence Harvey. I find it very funny because, Chris, we're going to be talking about Lawrence Harvey again this week. So, like, Lawrence Harveying all over the place right now, which is great. Yeah, but it was just like a blackout skit that was stretched very long again, but better than most of these ones that we've talked about lately. They're going out on a high note.
How about you, Chris?
You know, Father Malone, you and I used to do a show about Tales from the Crypt, and I think that this is in that wheelhouse. There are a couple episodes of that show that I can remember back. I want to say one, there's a woman with her head, or she's a zombie, and then there's a guy's head on a plate, and they're in like Jamaica or something, and it's a be careful what you wish for type thing where he's a jilted lover or something. So I love it. I love the bunch of these stodgy British dickheads in Borneo. Like, I love that. It's fantastic. The setting is great. I don't think they take too much advantage of it because it feels rather set bound, unfortunately, because it takes place inside of this plantation house with Lawrence Harvey just being horned up big time, like an erection popping through his fucking pants, like the moment he sees her. And it's just like, she, to her credit, she is like, hell no. Joanna Pettit is like, hell no from moment one, which is interesting because normally in these kinds of stories, there's like this in the air, up in the airness about the female character's feelings towards the unrequited male love. And in this, she's like, go take a cold shower and ice your dick, bro.
I wrote in my notes, finally, a love triangle story where there aren't two people who are wrong.
Right. And I absolutely loved that aspect of this because this, honestly, Father Malone, feels like the crescendo moment of having spent all those years watching Tales from the Crypt, and they just kept doing that shit over and over again. You have to have one of the people in the love triangle say no at some point, and it totally works here.
It was very fresh.
It was fresh, and the title is terrible.
Yes, both things we can agree on. Oscar Cook, the author of the short story, apparently was in the military in Borneo, wrote a lot of stories that took place there, which is why it's set here. And himself said that this is a parable for rich white entitlement. That Lawrence Harvey's character is just this wealthy guy who just wants what he wants and he's going to take it no matter what. I
like that.
Lawrence Harvey is 1 year away from death here. He has stomach cancer. He's in the throes of it here. And evidently, during the scenes when the earwig is eating his brain, did not take his pain medication for that day of filming. So what you're seeing is actual genuine torment of Lawrence Harvey. That coupled with the makeup is fantastic here. If you look at his ear, you can see that the hair all around the area has been scratched off. You can see where his nails have gouged at his own ears, thus necessitating him being tied to that bed. I thought that was really hard to watch and therefore really good. Also, he's wearing some fantastic button-up boots when we first meet him. They were beautiful. The music in this episode was handled by a new composer to Night Gallery. His name's Eddie Sauter. If you listen close in the background, there's an electric sitar and a marimba and these electronic squeaks. It's fantastic. Eddie Sauter used to be an arranger for Artie Shaw and Tommy Dorsey and the Benny Goodman Orchestra. And he will be providing the new theme for Night Gallery that we have with season 3. In fact, Eddie Sauter will compose all of the music from here on out for Night Gallery.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice
right?
job, Eddie.
I mentioned that I think this is Szwarc's best segment, his best directed segment. I agree, Chris. This is a bottle episode. It is definitely a one location episode, but I don't think it's set bound at all. I think it's beautifully shot, very carefully lit and photographed. There's a shot where there's a wooden scrim on the left side of the screen, and Lawrence Harvey and the husband's heads are both floating above it, and Joanna Pettit steps into the frame on the right, full frame. So these two floating heads of these two characters who want her. And then when Harvey has that super creepy line that his appetite is increasing while he's staring at her, the camera slides to the left. The husband is now gone. It's now Joanna Pettit and Harvey in the frame together. And in the background behind them are rifles and pistols. It's a beautiful shot. He should have been nominated for an Emmy for this thing. The day after the earwig has been inserted into the wrong ear, or was it the right ear, everyone at breakfast is dressed like George Romero. They're all wearing their safari jackets. It was so distracting for me because I know George Romero just kind of wore that as a uniform, and I know that's exactly what everyone would be wearing in Borneo at this time period, but it was still a bit unsettling. Okay, the Don Williams character, I said, was it the wrong ear or the right ear? Because do you think it's possible that character intentionally had the earwig put into Lawrence Harvey's ear, like hearing his plan and what he was doing?
I thought that for a little bit, but I'm
I
not
wondered
positive.
that too. But that scene where he's like, "Oh, sorry, they put it in the wrong ear. It happens sometimes." Like, fucking the most British guy around. Everybody, he just had a fucking eel pie hanging out of his mouth. For fuck's sake, I love that scene.
Ain't you figured it out yet, mate? Ain't you figured it out? Oh, I am Britain. I am him.
But there's like. In that scene shirks conventions too, because I'm expecting him to show up at the window and be like, tough shit, asshole. But he's like, I'm sorry. So I don't know. I think it was genuinely an accident and he feels bad because that scene's like, I'm not gonna say it's moving, but couple that with Lawrence Harvey just going and like making the noises, like you feel for both of the characters in the scene, which is not something I can say for a lot of the segments in Night Gallery. So I kind of feel like it was an accident just based on that one scene alone.
What's funny is I hadn't considered that it was intentionally put into Lawrence Harvey's ear until he comes up to apologize. And then I thought, oh, he's really contrite about this. Did he do this? And now he feels bad because he's seeing the results of it. I don't know. Maybe I was working overtime on this one, but at least this particular segment begs these kind of questions and are conversations worth having.
Also, you mentioned the lighting in some of the scenes. The scene where they're in the bar, and it's the first time that Lawrence Harvey and Mr. Britton meet with his hat, and it's lit really darkly, except for Lawrence Harvey's eyes.
Yeah, that's called a halo eye light, which Jeannot Szwarc here uses on Lawrence Harvey at every opportunity. And why wouldn't you? Lawrence Harvey's face is, look, I know he's sick here, but what a face, man. He always had those cheekbones and that gaunt, stony kind of stare. This is a guy who too often, in my opinion, got cast as a hero in movies, and that's what kept him from getting further, I think, because if you cast him as a villain, he's fucking aces, man, just like you see him here.
That's why he was perfect in Manchurian Candidate, because you didn't know, is he this or is he bad? Like everybody's fawning over him, but something's not right.
I love his eyebrow raises. It's the eyebrow raises. I mean, it's his eye line, really. It's that T-zone area. But those eyebrows, man.
He's like, he can do like a John Philip Law eyebrow raise. Like he would be the American Diabolic.
That's exact. I could not put my finger on who he was reminding me of, but yes, John Philip Law. Holy Lord. Here's a fun fact that ruins the entire episode. There are no pain receptors in the brain. But other than that, I really, really liked it. Which is a fact. This is an episode I knew about long before I had ever seen it, because Stephen King chronicles it in his book Dance Macabre, his fiction book of horror from 1979 or so, where he kind of lays into the series as not being anything very good, but he singles this particular episode out as achieving the highest level of horror that he thought the series would ever get to.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that.
I would agree. Well, we haven't seen the rest of the season, or the series, so that doesn't bode well. But the master of horror. There's so many books at Half Price Books with K's on them that are just Stephen King and no other horror writer, so he must be right. I hope not, but at the same time, I mean, I guess this is scary. I don't know. To sit and think about the ending. Is the ending of this a scary ending? He's just going to die. That's it. Like, his head's going to explode and he's going to die.
Oh, is that all? We watched him with one in his ear, writhing and not being able to vocalize at all from the horrendous amount of pain he was enduring. And now he's going to have at least a dozen or so more of them in there.
Yeah, and they'll kill him, right?
The only ending for him is a pistol, right? Just take it off of the wall.
That'd be too good for you, mate. You'll have to sit and endure the pain.
Here's what I really liked. He goes through this entire ordeal. It's a miracle, John Williams shows up to tell us, that the earwig came out the other ear. And then Lawrence Harvey immediately reverts to being a cocksucker. In the face of miracle.
Yes.
So in this case, this comeuppance
does.
is absolutely genuinely earned.
You're going to have me
Yeah,
arrested at the
yeah,
dock,
he's a
aren't
real
you?
fucker.
No, we're not.
Oh, so good. Yeah. Yeah, there were some good bits to this, definitely. But like I said, it just felt a little long. I guess it was those writhing and pain scenes. Like, it felt like it just went on for a long time.
If you've watched the recent one, this is probably the one off of the DVD, that the episode is 33 minutes. But that's technically like a director's cut, because when it was originally aired, I think like 6 minutes were cut out of it. So we definitely got to see the full length version. Maybe had we seen the original and what ended up on syndication version, like a lot of our problems might have gone away with the episode.
In the area of the occult, it's customary to preoccupy ourselves with witches. And too infrequently, we dabble on the male side of that time-honored profession, the sorcerer. On display here is a painting showing the natural habitat of this species of black art practitioner. Dark alley, murky light, a few sundry skulls, and the gentleman himself on the right of the picture with the upraised hand and the funny little goat horns. Yes, indeed, this is a sorcerer. And for those of you who disbelieve his existence, we invite you to check this out for a little while. Our painting is called The Return of the Sorcerer, and where better place for him to return than right here in the Night Gallery.
Rod wants us to check this out. It's Return of the Sorcerer. This was season 3, episode 1, released on September the 24th, 1972. It was written by Halstead Wells, based on a Clark Ashton Smith short story, and directed by Jeannot Szwarc, or Jean Szwarc.
I noticed that, yeah.
He'll be known by the more sophisticated and way easier to say Jean Szwarc for the rest of the season. This one stars Vincent Price. This is his second appearance on Night Gallery. Tisha Sterling, her first, and Bill Bixby. Special appearance by Bill Bixby in his second appearance. In this one, Bill Bixby is hired to translate an ancient text by a sorcerer. What could go wrong? What'd you think of this one, Mike?
I was very confused by this one. I kept trying to figure out the power dynamics between Tisha Sterling and Vincent Price. And then there's this whole talk about Vincent Price is a twin, and he cut off his twin's head, and the head is someplace. And I'm just like, this sounds far more interesting than a translation story. And then this goat keeps showing up, and I'm like, Bill Bixby is okay with this. I mean, $750 a week, is that what he's making?
Yes.
I'd be okay with that as well, because
I'd be okay with that now. In 1972, that was the equivalent of $5,500.
Holy cow. Wow. I mean, I guess he's not going to be around to spend it, is the thing, is because the person who translates the stuff is supposed to have all these horrible things done to him. Or is he?
Yeah. Nice handoff there at the end.
I mean, is it just me, or is it very confusing?
Oh, yeah. It's all over the place. It's Clark Ashton Smith, who's just trying to emulate his idol, H.P. Lovecraft, but not really understanding what H.P. Lovecraft was doing.
Right. That's what it felt like. It felt like Lovecraft Light to me.
Lovecraft Light or Lovecraft? 2 words, love crap. You know what I mean?
Oh, he went there. He went there.
Can he say that?
Pull his license.
For me, it ultimately comes down to, once again, we have a story of a man with a secret who brings someone else in to help him solve that secret. I feel like we've seen this story in the end of season 2 a lot. And now it's like they're opening season 3 with it. And the biggest shame is that it's Vincent Price more than anything else. It's like, let's just get Vincent Price to mug for 30 minutes. That's what this feels like. A lot of close-up shots of Vincent Price mugging for the camera, which is fine, but there's not a story there per se. It's just a lot of, I don't know, it's a lot of gothic looking settings and not a lot of story to go along with it.
I think there are quite a lot of problems with this episode, and yet I fucking loved it. I really had a good time with it.
Wow.
Yeah, just beginning to end. I know this is the setup we've seen 1 billion times, but I think Jeannot Szwarc is doing fucking great work here. The opening shot, not the opening shot, but the first time he steps into that house, it's all drenched in red, and Bixby is framed in the jaws of a crocodile. That he would have used a split diopter if they could have afforded. When Vincent Price mentions he was a twin, I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, we're getting 2 prices for the price of one. This is going to be fucking fantastic. Fern is the female character in it, the Sterling character. And when we meet her, she's wearing a thermal shirt with a star on it, right? The star is obviously added by wardrobe. It's a slate thermal shirt with a blue star. And I think it's there to clue the audience into the fact that she has more than a passing familiarity with magic. But it also kind of subtly clued me into that famous shot of Sharon Tate from Esquire magazine back in '67. She's wearing a white shirt with a red star. It got talked about a lot a decade ago because on Mad Men, Megan Draper's character wore the same shirt as Sharon Tate, and it was on purpose, and people were thinking she was going to be murdered. It turned out to be nothing. But it's probably a coincidence here, but I hope it's by design because they've inverted the Sharon Tate shirt, and that's what this is, because we end up with this character doing the sacrificing. Anyway, that might be more ominous than the episode deserved, but it was on my mind the moment she opened the door. As much as I am praising Jeannot Szwarc for that opening scene, the second scene is fucking atrocious. The lighting is the most garish lighting I've seen on any episode of Night Gallery ever. It looked like the crew from The Price is Right lit the scene. You could see all the flaws in all of the set decoration behind Bixby and Price. By the way, Bixby and Price is my YA detective novels.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
I love a plot where there's an unseen force like slowly approaching. And they do that here with the sort of sliding, the scraping sound that's slowly approaching, which my favorite thing is the Fern's character tries to explain it away by saying, it's just rats, as if that's preferable to whatever else is there. Oh no, it's just a wall full of rats.
Right.
Bixby is hired to translate this book, and he has to do so in this main sacrificial chamber on the altar with 7 candles burning. Could I take the book to my room? Would that be okay? They explain that other translators have come and they've done the translation and they've fled. To prevent that, Vincent Price has armed himself with a revolver, right? Now he's going to make this guy speak the thing, but...
Makes sense.
Yeah, but
logically follows. You're a rich guy, you can get away with it, right?
Oh yeah, you could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue, you get away with that.
You wouldn't lose any demons involved.
No, and there's magic involved here. But the thing is, Bixby has written the translation down. I'm assuming the other translators did as well, unless they were keeping the entire quatrain or whatever the fuck it is in their heads. So
quatrain.
Why doesn't he just say, hand me that and I'll read it? I don't. Okay. Anyway,
but there's not an invocation if he just hands him a telefax and goes, "Read it, bub." Like that. There's none of the horse shit of Bill Bixby. Like, I'm confused as to what's going on. And wait, what does it say? It's like there's none of that if he just goes, "Here you go." Like, it's so. But a lot of this requires one party to know what's going on and the other to have literally no idea. It just normally isn't the audience. We're not normally supposed to be the ones that have no idea.
That's true.
It's supposed to be the characters. Like, yeah, the characters. I feel like the characters know about more about what's going on than we do, and they never get that across to the rest of us. There's a lack of exposition in this episode, shockingly.
I like, though, how specific the curse is. Like, it has a preamble cursing the reader of it, and then it has a clause that seems to relate directly to Price's situation. It's like he thinks he's scot-free until he reads the dismemberment codicil, like, oh no, even if I cut him up, god damn. And
flayed alive across hot coals or something.
Yeah,
oh my god.
It goes hard.
Yeah, man.
At the end of the scene, before the brother shows up, Vincent Price goes catatonic and he's just sitting there. And all I thought was like, what a wonderful piece of furniture. I'd love to have a Vincent Price in the corner of the room.
I think my speaking of furniture, my favorite piece of furniture was the hands with the candles sticking out of the walls.
Mm-hmm.
That was a nice piece of set dressing. Although, again, if they were trying to go for the interchamber of Anton LaVey, I don't know how well they managed, because I'm sure his room was very red. But
yeah,
I don't know. It looks. I like the main chamber, but it is a little on the nose. I feel like
That felt a little Wonka-y to me.
right, like it's over the top.
Here's the kids' version of Satanism, maybe, or Azathoth, maybe, or any number of names we're gonna spew out during this episode. That when Bixby and Fern first get together, now before we figure out what Fern's intentions are here, he says to her at the end of the scene, "Can I depend on you as a friend?" And I thought, like, are those words magic? Because it's the easiest pickup line I've ever seen. She immediately like falls into his arms. I'm like, whoa, okay. I guess friendship means a little something different in their house.
Hey, friendship is magic.
I can't not love this and recommend this segment, this episode, because it has one of my favorite exchanges in the entire exchange and transition in the series, where Bixby says, "What makes you think I'll stay?" And Vincent Price says, "Dinner." And then it cuts to a close-up of a black goat eating from a plate, sitting in a carved wooden chair at a table that wouldn't be out of place at like Wayne Manor. Oh, by the way, Falling Tower. I called it a goat. Forgive me. His name is Falling Tower, and he's Vincent Price's father. And then that's the last mention of that fact.
Yes.
That's the best part of the entire episode, is the goat eating at the table. Like that alone is a visual that's worth seeing, especially that transition. But it never lives up to the lofty goals of a goat eating at the table, you know? The heights of a goat consuming whatever, like fucking risotto, is never reached again.
Evil Vincent Price shows up. Now they got to sacrifice good Vincent Price, good being a relative term. And I noticed that they cut to an above shot of the altar, and there's like disco floor. The altar had a disco floor underneath it, lights in red and blue and yellow just flashing away. I'm like, wow. Some nights it's a disco, some nights sacrificial chamber. If Vincent Price knew Fern was the culprit, knew she was pulling the strings, what was all this charade about? That's the confusion, Mike. Like, the power ends up being like, what is happening here? And here's a fun fact. If you read the original short story, Fern isn't in it.
Oh, really?
And the Vincent Price character, and then the Vincent Price brother shows up, and then that's it. You don't suppose there's anything in that preamble about the reader being dismembered? You don't think there's anything to that, do you? No, Bill. You're going to be fine with her.
Hey, she knows that actress knows how to hold a frog, though, or a toad, I guess. Walking around with that toad in her hand, that whole scene.
Last season we had Richard Thomas, and I mentioned like I couldn't tell if he was giving a good performance or not. I feel the same way about her.
She reminded me a lot of Blythe Danner for some reason while she was talking.
Like facially, in that sort of that airy demeanor, but I couldn't. Sometimes I thought she was really good, and then sometimes I was like, God, she's awful. I mean,
I can't imagine how much they spent on candles for this episode.
Where's any of this money coming from? My God.
Well, I was going to say, they spent all the money on candles that they didn't spend on the sound effects, because no owls and hooting, no werewolves, no nothing this episode. Lack of fun sound effects even. They weren't.
We did get Castle Thunder briefly at the beginning.
Oh, right. Once.
That's just because that's a union thing. Castle Thunder has to appear at least once.
I was just waiting for like a hooting owl or something just in the background incessantly, because, you know, the show likes to do that too. So
we did get that scraping, slurpity, I'm coming to get you, my feet and hand are coming to get you. That was a good effect, by the way, the dismembered hands. And
it looked pretty good.
Like crawling and stuff. It looked great. The foot looked fantastic.
And when he's there at the end, and apparently the dismembered head is now back attached to the body and his face is all like corpse-like, I thought that looked really good. I thought it's Vincent Price. He knows how to hold his head and all that to really up the creep factor.
To me, this is a redemption for Vincent Price, because the last time we saw him was in that Class of '99 episode where he was just the moderator for the robots. Eesh.
Oh, yeah.
That was a waste of Vincent Price. I liked that story, like thinking back about it, but why him? Of all the people to have in that episode, why Vincent Price?
I think that was a studio thing where they were really pushing the guest stars for that season. It was the only thing they could think to help the show that they never understood to begin with.
2 out of the 3 here are pretty big stars. I mean, Bill Bixby and Vincent Price. So
yeah,
starting out the 3rd season, at least in terms of like visibility of who it is, pretty strong. So
Our artists and artisans take a rather pardonable pride in their work that you see hanging here. An example is this item here. It's called rare objects, and represents that potpourri of collector's items that some men are prone to acquire. But there are collector's items and collector's items. Offered to you now an excursion into the very strange. Tonight's offering in the Night Gallery.
Rare Objects is from Season 3, Episode 3. It aired on October the 22nd, 1972. This was written by Rod Serling and directed by Jeannot Szwarc, starring Mickey Rooney, Raymond Massey, Faye Spain, David Fresco, Victor Sen Young. He was Hop Sing on Bonanza, but they've reduced him to a virtually non-speaking servant role here. Also, Regis Cordic. He was Dr. Peel in Primal Scream, Night Stalker Season 2. Guys, and he's in 2 of episodes of Columbo, and he's in 2 of my favorite episodes of The Monkees, Christmas episode and Fairy Tale. This one's about a gangster on the lam seeking asylum with a man with a penchant for collecting interesting people, or not so interesting. What'd you think, Chris?
It is so goofy, and the reveal is so, oh my God. You know, when they start going down the list of people, and the first one that they start with is, hey, look, they come out swinging. They don't have Hitler immediately, but they have Anastasia. So you know where this is going. And then it's Judge Crater and stuff like this. Story is, it is a blackout sketch, once again, played for a 30-minute episode. And it could have been, this is almost in a lot of ways essentially a different version of, what was the one with not Kevin Spacey, Bobby Darin, and the old man from Willy Wonka?
Oh boy, yeah.
Jack Albertson. Is that not this? But just, here's another iteration. Instead of him being turned into dog food, he's just kept in a cage somewhere. It's that, and I think we all agree Dead Weight was a blackout sketch, and I think that this is a blackout sketch. I do think the I've got a Hitler thing is pretty funny, but it was bizarre through and through. But hey, Mickey Rooney sure knows how to disgustingly eat a plate of pasta, just like a real fucking just ugh.
Who ever thought that Mickey Rooney could play a tough guy? That I just don't understand that at all.
Wait a second. It's the same people who asked, could this man play Japanese?
Oh man. The whole time I was just like, he's a gangster. He's supposed to be a gangster.
That's what he always wanted to be his whole life.
I wrote in my notes, I love tough guy Rooney. He's 4'0" with a marble bar between him and a 6' guy who looks like he could tear him apart. Later on, we're with him and his gangster Maul, and I thought she could tear him apart.
Yeah.
I'm so angry. Ooh, okay. Wipe that pasta off your face first.
This was a rough one. I mean, I love Raymond Massey, but I think I was better off with Raymond Massey the last time he was on the show.
He was more appropriate in that one. Speaking of the last one, it's the same set. He's in the same house.
Wow.
I was about to ask because it looked like it. I was like, man, it's too bad they didn't show the top of the mantle and his head was there. Like, that'd be a little weird. What's the continuity of that one?
That would have been great, actually. That would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Nobody needs to see Mickey Rooney's mouth close up with sloppy fettuccine all over it. Oh, my God. Also, fettuccine in a red sauce? Check his papers. No,
wait a second. You're saying that's not a thing?
It shouldn't be. No joke, by the way. Okay. His name's Kolodny, and he's played by a tiny Irishman, but he's clearly Italian. He's eating pasta in an Italian restaurant. His right-hand man is named Tony. He's clearly supposed to be Capone or somebody like Capone. But why wouldn't they just lean into the Irishness of him? Like there aren't any Irish gangsters? I'll name some. Deanna Banyan, Bugs Moran, Oni Madden. Come on, man. Buddy McLean, Mickey Mean Machine Murphy. He was a Boston.
Whitey Bulger.
Well, yeah, there you go. Those are Boston boys. How about Sean Irish Car Bomb McKenna? That, to me, was a mess in the episode. Either just make him straight Italian or make him Irish. I don't know why this interim Kolodny. It feels like the stuff that Serling used to complain about when he was writing for, like, Playhouse whatever. Oh, they made me change the character's ethnicity so that wouldn't offend anybody, but that's what he's doing here. Okay, was this the 50s? I'm guessing it's the 1950s. Oh, until there was a wah-wah guitar and synth playing, so then I assumed we're in the 70s, but then Mickey Rooney gets in a Model T Ford, so now I guess it's the 30s, but then Hitler, so 46 afterwards? I don't know. This was the weirdest time episode of all time. I have no idea what era we were in.
I was disappointed that at the end it wasn't like and then there's an alien. There's just an alien in the cell. That's what I wanted. I wanted it to fully just embrace the dumb, because this is like the reveal in this episode is a really like just again some dumb sounds derogatory, but it is very not well thought out. It makes very little sense. Like it is a gag. It is a visual gag that once you start thinking about it logistically, it makes no sense, but it's not being played purely as a visual gag. Like this is the climax of the episode. This is how the episode ends. We are led to believe the episode wraps up with him being placed in a cell. The end. Like it's, I laughed. I thought it was funny, but I'm not going to sit here and defend it as quality. Like I can appreciate for something for how absolutely just ridiculous it is, which I think this episode is firmly in that camp.
I think I could have enjoyed this one if it were a blackout skit, but it just takes so long to get there. And Raymond Massey just chewing it up. Everybody, Rooney and Massey, are both chewing up the scenery, but it takes Massey a long time to get where he's going with his soliloquy. And I can only think that that's thanks to Rod, where it's just like, oh, cool, I get to write for this guy, and I'm just going to overwrite it so much.
Rod Serling overwrites something?
I know.
Heaven forfend. Rod, for some reason, decides that we need to know how he's keeping these people here, that there's a wonder drug involved that makes them docile and also gives them longevity. So he's going to be there forever. Okay, we didn't need it. Because you mentioned the episode Dead Weight with Bobby Darin and Jack Albertson. And while we were watching that episode, I think we all theorized that it was going to go to some weird supernatural place. Like all of the potential lame avenues that episode could have gone in, this one did. Yes, he's going to hold him and keep him prisoner forever. And there's going to be some, it was so bad. And then, let me say this. I mentioned I would start doing this. Hooray for Day for Night. It looks so good. Looks so fantastic in this episode. Congratulations yet again, Night Gallery, for a glorious Day for Night. The other thing I want to say is they feature it a lot. Mickey Rooney's trembling lower lip. All I could think every time he did it was some studio handler not beating him on the day that he was able to do that, where they instructed him that he needed to look scared. It was such a rote thing. Like, I'm scared now. I will do the lower lip thing that they taught me, or they beat into me when I was a child. I know that's terrible, but kept thinking about it.
The question that I have is, what does one do with a Hitler? Yeah. What does one do with an Amelia Earhart or a Judge Crater? What, you just have them in a cell and they just sit there? Like, it's, again, like the stakes of the episode, all of a sudden, yeah, like you mentioned, they go from feeling realistic to, and then there's a door that opens and Hitler's there. And
it's very similar to that Star Trek episode. Well, many Star Trek episodes, but especially that one with Saul Rubenstein, where he kidnaps Data and has him there. He wants these unique items. So
he's the collector from Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. So Roald Amundsen, sure. Yeah, why not? I love Norwegian polar explorers. Let's get this guy in here.
Right. Judge Crater, great. They're just a couple years away from Hoffa. That's the one that we don't have here. But yeah, again, like the logistics and everything aside, like the twist is just okay. And his explanation is just very strange. And for all the posturing that he does essentially before we find out what the reveal is, for that to be the reveal, it's like, and that's what all the posturing was for? Hitler in a cage? Like, okay.
Also, it's Amelia Earhart and Anastasia and blah, 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 and Kolodny?
And Hitler. Kolodny and Hitler are of the same. It's the way that they ate pasta.
Just make it about Al Capone. This is what happened to Al Capone, everybody.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Or Hoffa. Again, or Hoffa. Like, that's what I equated this to, but they hadn't gotten there yet. And again, this dude was just some schmuck criminal. He wasn't anything. Like,
Right.
Oh, but I think you undersell yourself, sir. I think you are much more than just that.
yeah, I would say Bobby Darin was worth more of a rare object worth keeping because he killed kids and that it said it was okay. Most gangsters aren't okay with that. He was a real scumbag gangster. This guy's just,
This guy's a loser, obviously. Like,
his own guys want to kill him. Like, I don't, like his own people want to kill him. I don't understand.
you're not good at your job, sir.
You're going into hiding because you're a bad gangster. It's just the conceit of the episode is bizarre. And then, it feels like it's a joke because it's Mickey Rooney.
Oh, when he pays the waiter, he pulls out this huge wad of cash. I am 100% convinced that actually was just Mickey Rooney's wad of cash. He's renowned for walking with a wad big enough to choke a horse.
Wow. I forgot that Rooney played a gangster once before, at least. He was Blue Chips Packard in Skidoo, the classic Otto Preminger film.
A movie I have never gotten through.
Oh boy, yeah, it's tough. And I think he does acid with Jackie Gleason in jail.
See, that makes me want to watch it, and I'm gonna get fucking 20 minutes into it again, and I'm just gonna go, what am I doing?
Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Maybe there's a clip on YouTube.
At least Mickey Rooney wasn't doing Yellowface. At least there's that.
Thank heavens for small favors. Aha, Mickey Rooney's tiny.
This item here, commentative on what A.J. Liebling referred to as the sweet science. Obviously having something to do with the manly art of self-defense, boxing. But if the Marquis of Queensberry mayhem doesn't particularly turn you on, don't turn this off. This painting tells a story infinitely more intriguing than a couple of fast boys mixing it up. It's called The Ring with the Red Velvet Ropes. And it tells you the tale of precisely who is the real heavyweight boxing champion of the world. And I think you'll be surprised. Surprise happens to be our stock in trade, because this is the Night Gallery.
All right, Ring with the Red Velvet Ropes. It is Season 3, Episode 10. It originally aired on January the 7th, 1973. This one was written by Robert Malcolm Young from a short story by Edward D. Hawke and directed by Jeannot Szwarc. This one stars Gary Lockwood, Chuck Connors, Joan Van Ark, and Ralph Manza playing Gary Lockwood's manager in the opening scene. For once, he's not playing a chauffeur. He is Banachek's major domo in the entirety of that series. And every other time I've seen him pop up on a show, he's played a chauffeur.
You're not watching enough Barney Miller, baby. He plays a blind guy most of the time. Or someone who doesn't understand a lick of English. Or my favorite Ralph Manza role, 1999's Fisherman Running Away from Godzilla on the Pier, which is my favorite Ralph Manza.
Now I'm going to have to look that up. Jeez.
That's from the trailer where like Godzilla's coming through the water.
Yeah.
The person who's fishing is Ralph Manza.
No.
Yeah, there's like an older guy fishing at the end of the pier. That's Ralph Manza.
Wow.
You're welcome, world. And Ralph Manza, who I think long passed away.
This one is about a boxing champ who learns he's not the champ. Maybe supernatural, could be. I don't know. What do you think, Chris?
I like this idea, but we've seen it better when we did Dreams for Sale. We did that pool episode. Or was this? No, it was this show. Oh, we've done it every time we've done an anthology show. There's one of these kinds of things where it's you're fighting the opportunity. Most of the time, the setup makes more sense. The setup here doesn't make any fucking sense at all. Normally, it's you're dead and you're going to face the person and you get something out of it, or you're alive and you're facing the person and you end up being damned because of it. I like the setup, but boy, it's like they jumped from the ground onto the pommel horse and then broke their back immediately. I just do not understand how they fucked up what is, again, in my opinion, an easy concept. The ex-champion is facing the current people, but he's dead. Or I don't even know. They don't even seem to know here. So it's rather unintelligible, but it's at least, again, an idea that I can understand where they were going with this, but they really fucked it up.
I think you're thinking of Game of Pool over on Twilight Zone. It's the same setup. I'm the champ. Call the spectral champ to come play me in a game of pool. Anyway, Mike, what'd you think?
Good makeup effects. I really like the effects on these guys' faces when they get the shit kicked out of them. That's pretty good, especially the African-American gentleman who visits him as a specter after he beats him at boxing. But yeah.
J2 Kambuka.
Yes, and I did watch an interview with him earlier today, which was very interesting. Yeah, he was been in a bunch of stuff that I really like, and it was great seeing him show up. But he was in here for so short. And then Gary Lockwood, I'm pretty unfamiliar with him, other than I want to say he was in a Jacques Demy film, of course, 2001: A Space Odyssey. He looks so shaggy here. It's kind of wild. He almost was unrecognizable because I'm used to seeing him with the tighter haircut. Chuck Connor's always amazing, but yeah, I also don't really understand everything that's going on. I'm so surprised that Rod didn't write this screenplay because I know he likes boxing. So it reminded me too of, what was that called? Was it The Way of the Gun or The Day of the Gun, the Star Trek episode where they ran out of money, so they were using like big like colors behind them and things. That's very similar to this boxing ring at the end.
I actually expected Frank Drebin to walk in at the beginning of the episode because it looked like that same boxing set from one of those Police Squad episodes.
No sex before the fight. Yeah.
That was Universal too as well. So there's a distinct possibility that could be the case. But we kind of mentioned it on the last episode. I want to mention it here. The set design, we commented every now and then, but not often. Set design in these two episodes is fantastic. Like, genuinely feels like they went out of their way to do something different. Story doesn't live up, though.
Oh, I disagree. I fucking loved this one.
I feel that it would have been really good if it was a lot shorter. I think half an hour was way too much for this. I like the idea of, I guess it's the very first, it feels like the very first champ is still kind of boxing. It feels like after Gary Lockwood, after somebody else becomes the champ, Gary Lockwood's going to have to face him and then he'll die in the ring or something. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. So, Father Malone, since you do like this one a little bit more than us, what is going on with it?
Okay, it is exactly that. It's now, he's no longer, he's some supernatural being at this point who has to be the champ. And he will be the champ until he loses, and then he will die because he will have aged however long. So it's not necessarily that he was beaten, Chuck Connors was beaten to death. It was that he was beaten. They could have been a little bit more clear, certainly, about what was actually happening here at the end. Nevertheless, there was a lot that I liked about it. I liked the teleportation shower he got into with the steam. Oh my God. And then when he stepped out for a moment, I was like, wait, is this a time travel episode? It was like a throwback, or is he changed bodies with somebody?
He's in for say is what it looks like. It's strange and unexplained. Literally never explained.
I thought he was going to visit Dave Bowman in the end of 2001.
Lockwood, I agree. I don't think I've seen him this shaggy, but I liked it, and I liked him here. I thought he was really great. I thought he was so good because when he finds himself suddenly trapped in this mansion and he knows he can't get out, he gets rather bemused by the whole thing. Whereas I think any one of us would have started punching everybody out and trying to knock down doors. And I believed it. I think he carried that off. I like that this season we've had a lot of, we're waiting for characters to arrive. Roderick is coming. Remember they had that kid with the horrible haircut coming to kill Ross Martin, like he's on his way.
Oh, yeah.
And then the sorcerer, the same thing. I hear my brother is coming. This is a year for, watch out. I love that crazy eye light Chuck Connors gets right before we go out to that weirdo room. Was that a room where the statue is with the ring of fire on the ground? And speaking of rings of fire, why didn't they box in a ring of fire? But anyway, back to the other thing. Was that an outside area or was that in the house?
Yeah, when that ring of fire started, I was like, ooh, this is the boxing ring. Oh, cool. That'll be awesome. No,
unfortunately.
Sad.
Where they box is pretty good, though. That red
It is
room.
true. I do like that.
There's a great shot of like Chuck Connors staring down, and he just looks proper fucking menacing. I mean, having spent a fair amount of time watching that werewolf TV show that featured Chuck Connors, where he has to be menacing for like the 2 episodes he's in, but then his body doubles in the rest. He's great. I loved him here. Not sure if I believe Gary Lockwood could actually beat a big dude. Chuck Connors looks gigantic next to Gary Lockwood. He's fucking gigantic as a human being, obviously, but Gary Lockwood, obviously, the disparity in height between the two is apparent when you kind of get those wide shots of the ring.
Well, you see him standing next to Joan Van Ark when he walks into the scene. He's like twice her size. She's like at his waist. I was like, Gary Lockwood is dead.
I don't know, but I do like how his makeup starts out really good, and then he starts looking more and more Neanderthal as the match goes on. He gets a little Neanderthal-y right at the end, a little too much on the upper brow. I like the idea of the story. I wish I understood the stakes.
Yeah, the thing is, I love the setup where he sees a ghost, and it's because that person has just died in another location, and they're appearing to them. That's such a great setup, and when Kumbuka appears, and it's really accusatory. It seems like the champ has been up to no good or something, and like, I know from beyond the grave what you've done. In fact, it was a warning.
Which is what I don't get. And did he have a fucking aneurysm in the shower and die? And that's what's going on here. It's just, I would like just a little clarification as to why this is happening, other than the fact that, does everybody who becomes the champion have to go fight this guy?
So then there's this moral conundrum. You are the champ, right? Nobody can beat you. The only way you can continue to live is to throw a fight and then go on living a lie that you're the champ. Meanwhile, the guy you're fighting probably can't beat you. It's actually a really great setup.
I'd be curious to read the short story for this one.
Yeah, I did not, but yeah, it bears investigating. Red velvet ropes, red velvet ring, red velvet everything there in the last scene. My God, even Chuck Connors is red velvet draped, it seems. Good stuff. I like the warped bell for the round changes, the sort of slightly off-kilter bell. There is one fucking spectacular transition. Jeannot Szwarc, I love you, where it's Chuck Connors training and he's boxing and it's just his silhouette and the whole thing washes out red, and then we zoom in on the speed bag silhouette, and then now we're into the actual match at the end. I loved that. Anything else that I loved? I don't know. I just really enjoyed this one. I know it wasn't enough explanation as to what was going on, but for this one I was able to fill in enough myself where it didn't feel like it was a cheat.
I understand that. I genuinely just, it wasn't explanation as much as I think the episode needed a clearer direction of where it was going. Because at the end, yes, I understand the conundrum that he's in, but does he?
Right.
Yeah, there needs to be that conversation, maybe.
Right. Like, do you understand what's about to happen here, dude? Like,
well, no, because he's such a bulldog. He's just like, I've never thrown a fight. I don't care. I'm just going to go in and box that guy. And then he does, and he wins, and he doesn't seem that upset about it, honestly.
Yeah, no, and I don't. are we supposed to root against his character? That's what I didn't understand. Like,
we're rooting for him to win, and he does, but it comes with a price.
When he's yelling at the guys, like, why didn't you stop the fight? Why didn't you stop the fight? And I'm like, you could have stopped beating up on the guy too.
Yeah, you're not absolvable here.
I love the wait staff as audience. Central casting. Here's the chef. Here's the chauffeur. Here's the maid. They're all just watching the match. What's their story? How are they so condemned to eternity that they have to wait on the fake champ?
Yeah. I'd love to know more of this stuff.
Yeah. It's like there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here that just is not, again, it's not that it's not explained, it's not even hinted at what's going on. This once he transitions from the shower to the villa or whatever it is, it's like he just goes from a real place to a set is what it feels like. He's removed from everything, and it feels like unreality, and they never explain what it is, so I have no fucking clue where anything takes place beyond the beginning of the episode.
He has a lot of conversations with Joan Van Ark, and one of them might have been, what is this place?
Right.
That would be a first fucking question. Like, why can't I use the phone? Why can't I leave? Are people looking for me? Did I just dislike? That's the other question. If all these champions are going and fighting this guy, or these champions just must be disappearing. Like, just, it's a strange setup. I do like the guy that they got to play dead old Chuck Connors, though. Slam that fucker with some pancake makeup. Let's go. He's a white.
That was another man, right? That was not Chuck Connors himself. That was.
No, I would assume it was someone else entirely.
Yeah, I think he would have gone back to Jack Johnson days or something. The Marquis of Queensberry or whatever that is.
And you can tell it's not written by Rod because it doesn't have some sort of like tongue clucking morality horse shit that he likes to do. He would have had that scene where he's like, oh, you should know better. You don't do it. You know better. There's none of that. So it's not written by Rod Serling.
That's the price you get with the over explanation. Rod also would have told you exactly what that place was.
Right.
What everyone's motivations were, but it comes with everything else. Whisper.
Strips of ethereal night clouds as seen from the vantage point of a square acre of tombstones, and the face of a neutral onlooker who surveys the silence. Well, perhaps not quite total silence, because the name of our painting is Whisper, and it tells the story of one body inhabited by two people. And at a point, as you can well imagine, this gets crowded. And if this one doesn't ice up the old spine, we'll send you one of our official apologies, along with the body. That's the kind of guarantee you get in the Night Gallery.
This is Season 3, Episode 13. It aired on May the 13th, 1973. The previous episode aired in March. They skipped the entire month of April. I wonder why that is. Because they couldn't handle the awesomeness of April of 1973. Anyway, this was written by David Raphael from a short story by Martin Waddell, directed by Jeannot Szwarc. It stars Tony, hey Tony, no phony baloney, Tony the Tiger, LaRusso, Dean Stockwell, ladies and gentlemen. Also, Sally Field. It is the story of a young wife who's getting high on ghosts, and her husband is the dealer. Mike, what you think about this one? Don't. Nobody can see you whispering.
You couldn't hear me whisper that?
Vaguely.
That I could. I didn't really like this one at all, especially the way that it ended. I had no freaking idea what was going on for so much of this one, and then it just ended. What the fuck? So, what did I miss? What did I miss with it? That seems to be my thing for the shows. Can somebody please explain this to me?
Okay, very simple. Young couple, Stockwell and Sally Field. Sally Field is touched. She can communicate with the dead, or she's like a conduit for the dead. They can take her over and they can solve their problems, their unfinished business on Earth through her. And Stockwell has always known this and known it's true and is attracted to that aspect of it, even though it's frightening. And he's a little worried one time she won't be able to get back. She feels a pull across the country. And so they end up stopping in this small town where they've been living for about 3 months. And she keeps looking for this house over and over again. And then Stockwell here's the thing. Stockwell goes to a doctor to get her sleeping pills. At that point, the doctor is categorizing it as hallucinations. And he's basically blaming Stockwell for enabling these things. And he says, I've seen cases like this. The subject wants to go further. They don't want to come back. That's the setup for the end, because eventually the main ghost that's been haunting her, trying to find the summer house, it's another young bride whose child had died and their baby was interred incorrectly, and that has to be corrected. That's been the task the whole time.
Wow.
So Dean Stockwell plays the part of the husband, and he buries the baby, the proxy for the baby. But it's been happening for so long that what Dean Stockwell was worried about and what the doctor warned about comes to pass, and she can't get back to her body. The end.
Wow. So I was so confused because Sally Field through this whole episode is talking, I guess, with the ghosts.
Yes,
but she is the ghost at times, but she's talking with the ghost. And then Dean Stockwell, I guess he's talking to us, the audience.
yes.
Okay, see, that's the most confusing thing. You can't have one character talking to nobody and then have another character talking to nobody, but one character's talking to another character and another character's talking to us. That was really fucked up, man.
Mike,
I'm sorry, but
I'm with you,
okay,
man.
good.
It's fucking bizarre. Look, I like how you're like, it's my thing on this show. It's not yet things. Like, it's fucking when are you that?
That's what I feel like with this.
I mean, but to be fair,
how many times have I asked that on this show? And I'm not high while I'm watching these episodes. I swear I'm straight.
But to be fair, I was going to say, I did get what was going on, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, this is just this is just the spinning of wheels and the treading of water for 20 minutes. Just And you know what? Dean Stockwell's fine. Sally Field's fine. Sally Field doesn't play crazy very well. She's just too goddamn endearing as an actress. And yeah, the ending is just.
Disagree.
Oh, you need to see Sybil. She's
Yeah,
amazing
so.
in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that. So
Add it to
barring having not seen that, this is not a very good representation of that, is probably a better way of putting it. And the ending is laughably bad. I mean, it's asinine. Oh my God. But so the question then becomes, if you can't get back to your body, what does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean she's just a catatonic shell, eyes rolled back into her head, can't do anything? Or is the ghost still in her body? Again, this isn't they don't explain it because they don't need to. They don't explain it because I don't think they have a way to explain it, because they spend 20 minutes doing everything in their power to try to show, not tell what's going on, and they somehow fail remarkably.
You just wait. Father Malone's going to love this episode.
I fucking loved this episode.
No, you did not.
I did.
Boy, that is the theme here. It's too hot, too cold, just right.
It's the magic of Jeannot Szwarc. No, I'm not. That's not the case. I'm not liking it just for Jeannot Szwarc.
The magic of Jeannot Szwarc should be the name of your next podcast, because I think at this point you have defended no director more ever in the history of anything we've worked on than Jeannot Szwarc.
He's really good, and he does fucking really good work here, man. What can I tell you?
He's no John Badham, I'll tell you that.
He's at least Badham's equal. Sir. Okay, here's what I liked about it. I liked the confusion at the beginning where, okay, first of all, it starts and it's typical of Night Gallery, the entire run of the series, where I think we've all been baffled for a good portion of every segment as to what time period this is. But this episode actually embraces that and makes us think that we're in some sort of like a little house on the prairie time. And then suddenly she's burning a plane ticket in the thing. I thought that was great. I do understand what you're saying, Mike, because she's talking to what I thought was her. I thought she was breaking the fourth wall. I thought she was talking to us initially, but then she's just talking to nobody. And then when we get outside, it's this slow pan of her and we get this voiceover. I thought, we're getting a voiceover from Dean Stockwell. We're going to pan over and see what he's up to. And then we realize he's speaking out loud. And then is he narrating to himself? And then he turns to us. And it's so unnerving. Every time they've done it, and they've done it a lot this season, it works like gangbusters, man. And not only that, in this, he basically says to us, "You're dead." That was extra uneasy, thinking, I'm now supposed to be viewing this in the guise of a ghost. I'm just one of these floating spirits around her. And he keeps looking to us over and over again. He'll notice us, peering at them. I liked that a lot. I think, honestly, this is an episode that Rod envisioned. I know he had nothing to do with this episode, but this is what he wanted Night Gallery to be beginning to end, I think. These gentle character pieces with supernatural overtones. That's what I took away from it anyway. I do want to point out one thing. I haven't done this in some time, but there is another performer in this episode who deserves a bit of a spotlight. Here we go. Oh, that's Stormy Wind from the Hanna-Barbera library.
Oh, so good. I'm glad I had to hear it again.
I'm going to play it again because it comes up again later.
Oh, I know. It really does, to the point where when I was watching it with my wife, she goes, "Can you turn it down? It's really obnoxious." And then I go, of all the times to be watching this in the evening as opposed to early in the morning.
So here's something cool. When William Hanna and Joseph Barbera left MGM to start Hanna-Barbera Animation, they took their sound editor from MGM, who in turn took with him a massive amount of sounds from the MGM library, which were then made available to all the studios in 1965 when Hanna-Barbera released it as their own soundtrack library. That includes Stormy Wind here. It plays a prominent role here. It's been played too often, too long. It is no longer in use, thank God, but it has appeared a lot in Night Gallery. It just was so prominently displayed. I had to point it out here. Yeah.
I am shocked that you like this, but to Mike's point, it is kind of on brand. But that's not a bad thing. Like, I think my issue is more in tune with where Mike is coming from, which is I really had a hard time understanding who the fuck was being talked to. And again, I ended up understanding what was going on. I don't know, coupling the weird storytelling with a very weak ending. Like, again, I'm really struggling to understand what the meaning of the story is.
Can I say something about the ending? I actually found it horrifying. That the concept, like, I know they don't explain to us what it means, but in my mind, she's just floating in the ether now, and her body is a vegetable. Like,
right. So it's like, get out then. Like, okay.
Yeah. And now, not even that, but Dean Stockwell now is stuck with the notion that everyone has said to him, you shouldn't be encouraging this in her. And like the doc even says to him, she's got all these things. What do you have? And he's, I've got her. So the horror here is that now he's caused this thing, and this crisis of supernatural conscience, I don't know. It bothered me. It worked on me, this ending. What can I tell you?
I get it. You impassionedly describing it, I think, made me appreciate it a little bit more just now, because it did a very poor job in expressing.
It's Dean Stockwell, man. He's just so goddamn expressive.
That's the best part of this episode.
Oh my God, he's amazing. I enjoy any chance to see him, and he elevates everything. And I don't think the script does him a disservice. Too often on this show, we've had really like powerhouse guest stars who have been ill-served by the script. I don't think the script ill-served anybody here. I understand the problems you guys had with it, and I understand them. I don't know. This one just vibrated on a different frequency with me for some reason.
It's okay. I feel like while we might disagree about this one, I feel like the longer we go on in this episode, the less we're going to disagree. Probably to the point of complete and total agreement.
It's just going to be a high five at the end. We don't need to say a word.
Yeah, there'll be a freeze frame. Yeah, it'll be good.
Anything else about the whispering? All right, then.
Sally Field is cute in this. She's very adorable.
Oh, she's adorable.
I know.
She's been adorable.
I know, but
She
she's
still
like
is.
extra adorable. Like extra adorable. Like they shoot her in such a way, and she's just center frame the whole time, talking into the distance. Like just something about it. Like they just went adorable to 25.
And they were lucky to get it.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Have you ever wanted to dive deeper into the horror movies you love? Beyond the Blood is a horror podcast for fans who want more than just surface-level screams. We do deep dives into the movies that shaped us, digging into director commentaries, behind-the-scenes stories, deleted scenes, and the special features that most people skip. Each episode is a love letter to the genre. We break down how these films were made, the creative risks that paid off or didn't, and the lasting impact they've had on the genre as a whole. From 70s slashers to modern nightmares, we celebrate the craft, chaos, and characters that keep us coming back. If you're the kind of fan who rewatches movies with the commentary on, or you simply grew up in the video store horror aisle, the Beyond the Blood podcast was made for you. New episodes every single week. Subscribe, and let's dig deep. Welcome to the Beyond the Blood podcast.